Right, my dear children, now we are about to conduct this activity by using the cake of soaps. So, I have arranged the setup by using that piece of string with a hook and several sandbags over here. I have a stopwatch with me to calculate the time taken to cut each of these cake of soap. First of all, now I'm going to use one bag of sand, right, and I'm going to hang it on the cake of soap very gently. Right. As I'm going to insert this thing, and when I'm releasing it, I'm going to turn on the stopwatch, right? And let's observe how much of time going to be taken by the one sandbag to cut this cake of soap, right? So here we go then. Let's start. As you can see here, now this bar of soap is getting pierced by the piece of string. So my dear children, now it's halfway through, right? It's halfway through now. Right, so my dear children, now up to like half of a distance, half of the width of the piece of cake of soap in here. Now the string has been pierced up to like half. So right now I can't see any kind of a motion in the string. Right now I can't see any motion. Up to half of the bar of soap, the string was inserted, but when I'm observing it right now, I can't observe a clear motion. It's because that now the piercing process has stopped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the watch. Okay, so let's stop it right now. Half has been cut down, that's it, and the rest is now, right? So in the activity, when we are discussing about this activity, right, I have explained that it's not sometimes by using only one sandbag we won't be able to cut down the soap bar, but however in here half got cut, around half, right? And it took around how much? It took around 3 minutes. So it took around 3 minutes to cut down half of the soap bar in here. Okay, half of the soap bar, to cut half of the soap bar took 3 minutes by using only one sandbag. After that, it's not getting pierced. Still you can see that the same structure, but however the string is now at a half of the level of the soap bar. It's not moving. Still it's not moving. Right. So I'm going to remove this setup now, and I'm going to replace the bar of soap using a new one. Okay. So here you can see like up to half the level, right? Up to half of the level, you can see very clearly, like up to half of the level it's been pierced down. I'm going to remove it gently. Right, Okay. Now we are going for the second setup by using the second bar of soap. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hang two, not just one, but two sandbags on the soap bar here. So to hang two of these sandbags, I'm going to use a polythene bag like this and insert these two sandbags like this. 1, 2. Now I'm going to tie a knot. Right, then my dear children, let's hang this thing on the hook over here very gently. So we'll need to increase the length of, we need to decrease the length of it. Right. So gently we'll hang this thing. So as soon as I'm going to release my hand, I'm going to turn on the clock, my timer stopwatch, to count the time taken. Oh, so here we go then. 1, 2 and 3. Right, now I'm going to stop it. I'm going to check now. Yes, almost there. Right, I'm going to stop it now. It's right. Okay. So now gently I'm going to remove the sandbags. Now let's observe the soap bar. So it's separately, you can observe the two parts over here. It's separated into two equal parts, right? So now let's count the time. Let's take the time taken. So the time taken is exactly like 2 minutes. Observe, 2 minutes. Time taken is 2 minutes. 2 sandbags, it took 2 minutes. By using one sandbag, half got through within 3 minutes. Half. We can say that actually it's not totally getting separated into two parts, right? It's not getting totally separated, but however, half got cut through within 3 minutes. Here, totally divided into two parts within 2 minutes of time period. Now, my children, let's go for the third setup where we are going to use 3 of these, right? 3 of these sandbags together. So, my dear children, the third setup. So, within this third setup, we are going to use 3 sandbags in here and a fresh new soap bar. Once again, I have with me the clock to calculate the time. Now I have prepared a setup with 3 sandbags over here. So gently now I'm going to insert this thing to our string, metal string over here. Keep it like this. And now, as soon as I'm going to release the system, I'm going to calculate the time. Here we go. Right now it's almost there, almost there. Okay, it stopped. So I'm going to stop it now. Right. Gently now I'm going to remove this. And now let's see the soap bar. So soap bar has got separated, see? It has got separated into 2 equal parts once again, right? So let's see the time taken. Time taken is just 9 seconds, right? 9 seconds. It's between 8 and 9. We'll assume that one as 9 seconds. Okay, 9 seconds. So within 9 seconds, it got separated into 2 parts. Earlier, see, it got separated into 2 parts within 9 seconds. When you are using 1 sandbag, half got through within 3 minutes of time. 2 sandbags within 2 minutes of time, entirely dissected into 2 parts. When I am using 3 sandbags, got separated into 2 parts, but within 9 seconds. Now let's go for the 4th setup and let's observe what's the time over there. Right, my dear children, then the 4th setup, the final setup. Here within this final setup will be hanging 4 sandbags on this piece, on this bar of soap. Okay, so once again a fresh new bar of soap can be observed, same dimensions as the previous one. The stopwatch to calculate the time once again. So earlier when I was using 3 sandbags, the time calculated as 9 seconds. Now here with me I have all 4 sandbags. Gently now I am going to insert this thing onto the hook over here. So remember children, in this case the time would be very less, so we'll need to get our calculation quite fast. Right. So let's that's it. Got separated, right? As you can see here, it's got separated. No time to lose. See, got separated quite fast. How much is the time? Wow. You can see here the time is right now only 2 seconds. Only 2 seconds. It got only 2 seconds to cut down the piece of soap in here, right? So got separated into 2, or it dissected into 2 parts within how much of a time? Within 2 seconds of a time period. So my dear children, it's obvious to us that when increasing the weight which is placed on the soap bar, these soap bars are getting dissected very quickly, right? They're getting dissected very quickly. So the force which is acting on the surface, when I'm going to increase that force, it's obvious to us that the pressure exerted on the object is going to increase. So let's head on to the classroom once again. We'll write down our observations and from that we'll come into a conclusion. So my dear children, I have prepared the setup right now according to the instructions given, right? So this is the sponge. Now first of all, we'll take the reading on here at the horizontal level of the sponge. So it's around now, if you take the answer, now here the specialty is that we can't get like several centimeter kind of a value. Okay, these values are going to be really sensitive, like up to millimeters. So it's very important to take more sensitive information or more sensitive readings when we are doing this practical or this activity. Let's take the reading to the specific value according to our naked eye. So the value is here, see. So exactly up to millimeter level, it's 5.9 millimeters, right? 1 millimeter less than 1 millimeter less than 6. So in here you can observe the 6 level 6, right here. So 1 millimeter less than 6. So it's 5.9 millimeters. This is the initial reading of the sponge. 5.9, my dear children. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spring balance, right? So spring balance once again, then I'm going to measure the weight of the spring balance, right? So the weight of the spring balance is now, right? So observe the reading. Here it is at 4.5 newtons, right? 4.5 newtons. 4.5 newtons, my dear children. 4.5 newtons. You can observe it very clearly, right? It's 4.5 newton right now, right? 4.5 newton is the weight of the wooden block. 4.5 newton. Then I have with me 1 kilogram of several weights. I mean, like I have two 500 weights rounded up to 1 kilogram. Then another 2 kilogram of a weight. 2 kilogram one and two 500 grams one to make it 1 kilogram. So instead of 5 kilogram weight, I will be using altogether 3 kilograms, right? So I'll be using 3 kilograms to instead of 5 kilogram here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the, remember the earlier reading was 5.9. Now I'm going to place the wooden block. So I'm going to place it over here like this, right? So in order to get a good reading, I'm going to keep it very near to the scale over here. Right now I'm going to release it. Now let's take a reading over here. Right now let's take a reading. Okay. So the reading is now. So here you can observe the reading now has got decreased. Right. Here the reading has now got decreased. See. It got decreased by 2 millimeters. Right. See. The reading got decreased by 2 millimeters. It got decreased by 2 millimeters, my dear children. So now the new reading is 5.7 millimeters. It's 5.7 millimeters. The new reading is now 5.7 millimeters. Earlier it was 5.9, but however now the reading is 5.7, right? 5.7. 5.7 is our new reading. Right then, so what I'm going to do in the next step, I'm going to place the wooden block in the same way. I'm going to use the 2 kilogram mass and place it over the wooden block here. Right, my dear children, now let's take the reading. Now I have placed the 2 kilogram here. Now I'm going to take the reading of the thickness in sponge. So here you can observe, right, here you can observe the reading very clearly. So it's around 5.1. So the reading right now, the thickness is now 5.1, right? 5.1 is the thickness, my dear children. You can clearly observe the 5.1, right? So here, now in here, you can observe 5.1. Can be observed very clearly. 5.1. So when I'm going to place the 2 kilogram, the reading is 5.9, 5.7, now it's 5.1. Okay, 5.9, 5.7, now it's 5.1. By keeping the setup in the same location, in the same place, I'm going to place the 1 kilogram, the extra 1 kilogram weight. Okay, now I'm going to place the extra 1 kilogram weight on this 2 kilogram block, right? Okay, here we go then. Right. So here the final level you can observe, right? So I have placed it. The final level is now up to reduced up to 4.1 centimeters, right? So now the thickness level is at 4.1, my dear children. The total mass on the wooden block is 3 kilogram, right? 3 kilogram is the total mass on the wooden block. Reading is only 4.1. Thickness is only 4.1 in centimeters. So once again, what are our readings? 5.9, 5.7, 5.1 and finally 4.1. Right. So as you can see here, when I'm going to increase the force acting on the sponge, you can clearly see that the thickness is getting reduced gradually. Right? Thickness is getting reduced gradually. Right then. So my dear children, let's head on to the classroom once again and we'll write down our observations and conclusions. So my dear children, within this activity, we'll be observing, right, what is the other factor which is important in creating a pressure. So in order to observe that other factor, I have two different strings with me. Here you can observe this is somewhat like, if you compare it with the other string over here, it has a greater thickness, right? It has a greater thickness. See, if you compare these two have two different thicknesses. This one is somewhat thicker, this one is somewhat thinner. I have a soap bar with me like in the previous activity, a hook and 2 bags of sand and a stopwatch to calculate the time. So first of all, I am going to keep the bar of soap in here like this kind of a position. Then I am going to insert, right, insert the thicker string like this. Then let's insert the hook. To the sandbag. Here we go. Right. Then gently I'm going to insert this thing to the wire, to the string, and as soon as I'm going to release the hand, I'm going to turn on the stopwatch. Here we go then. So as you can see here, now the soap bar is getting cut down by the string, but very slowly. So we have to give somewhat time. So check the time, my dear children. It's around now 3 minutes. Here you can observe now the bar of soap like separated up to 3/4 of the total size, right? Up to like 3/4. It's been separated up to 3/4. So we have to give it somewhat more time to separate, right? So we'll wait for somewhat longer time. Right, my dear children, now as you can see here, now it's almost finished, right? It's almost finished right now. So now I'm going to stop my watch. So it's almost finished. Yes, so I'm going to stop it right now. Actually, it's not 100% completed, dissected, right? But however, as you can see here, it's like 90% it got separated. Okay, not 100%, but like 90% it got separated. Okay, so I'll gently remove this thing. So here you can observe like up to 90% it got separated within like how much is the time period? So it took around let's say 5 minutes. See, so it's nearly my dear children, you can see here it's nearly 5 minutes, right? Nearly 5 minutes. So we'll round it off to 5 minutes. So nearly 5 minutes and 12 seconds, we'll round it off to 5 minutes. Okay, as this thing haven't got separated totally, right? You can see here it doesn't got separated. See, it haven't got separated at all. So there's somewhat time left. However, we'll round it off to 5 minutes because it is going to take somewhat longer time to dissect the piece, this soap bar into 2 equal pieces. So let's take it as 5 minutes. Now I'm going to go for the second setup. I'll keep it in here. I'm going to take this to the 0, right? Then I'm going to go for the second setup where I'm going to use the same type of bar of soap is equal in dimensions, but for the second setup I'll be using the thinner string, right? Now I'm going to use the second setup, right? I'm going to use the second bar of soap right now. So we'll use the second one. Right, as you can see here, these two are identical. There's no any difference in it. Okay, So let's keep it in here. Now stopwatch is at 0. Let's hang this thing. As soon as I'm going to release, I'm going to start the stopwatch. So once again you can observe gradually here the string is gradually now getting inserted into the bar of soap. So we have to wait somewhat. Right, so my dear children, once again you can see here it's not going to separate it into two equal parts, but however now it's been separated up like up to 3/4 of the total size. So I'm going to stop the watch right now. Right, so we'll gently remove this thing. Once again you can see here it got separated more than the 3/4. It got separated right now. Okay, almost it got dissected into two equal parts. Unlike the previous case, you can see here, right? Right, see? So the time taken, now let's go for the time taken. So time taken is around 2.5 minutes. So we'll round it off to 3 minutes. Okay. So we'll round it off to 3 minutes. So in the earlier case, it was around 5 minutes, greater than 5, right? We round it off to 3 minutes, 5 minutes now. But in this case, it's greater than 2.5. However, we round it off to 3 minutes. Here you can see a 1 minute difference. A clear 1 minute difference can be observed. The bar of soap got cut very quickly, like 1 minute earlier, when we are using this thin, right? When we are using this thinner, string, right? Bar of soap got separated, or it got cut very quickly when I'm using this, right? When I'm using this thinner string. The bar of soap, right, to intersect the bar of soap, it took around 5 minutes when I'm using this thicker string. So my dear children, there is a clear difference between the time taken. Now let's head on to the classroom once again and we'll write down our observations and conclusions from this activity. So my dear children, within this chapter, we'll be discussing about the second main factor that's going to affect for the pressure, right? So we studied that there are two different factors that's going to affect for the pressure. So the second main factor that affects the pressure is being discussed within this chapter. So in order to investigate about the second factor which is essential for the, or which is going to affect for the pressure, a simple bit of an experiment is given. right? We know that there are two different factors. The two different factors are, number one is the force which is acting, and number two is the contact area, right? Contact area of the force, right? Area which the force is going to act is the second factor. So within these practicals and within these activities, we'll be investigating how the surface area is going to act, or how the surface area is going to affect, right? How the surface area is going to affect upon creation of a force, right? Upon creation of a pressure, not force, right? So my dear children, let's head on to see our activity, and we'll see how this surface area factor affects the creation of pressure. Right, now we are studying about the factors affecting the pressure. Under that, we are going to do a small bit of an experiment once again. So this experiment is quite simple, my dear children. You'll be needing soap bars, you'll be needing two wires here, two strings, one with a thick and another one with a thin wire. One should be a thick wire and the other should be a thin wire. Okay. So a thick wire or else a string and a thin wire or else a string. Then we'll be needing sandbags, right? Sandbags. Okay, we'll be needing sandbags. Then after that, wooden sheets or planks. Right, wood plank. So these are the materials that you need. You'll be needing soap bars, thick wire and a thin wire, several sandbags and some wood plank. So this wood plank is being used to keep the soap bar, so therefore it's wise to get the surface area of the wood plank so as to be equal with the surface area of the soap bar. Okay, right. So the method, let's see how to conduct the activity. So like in the previous activity where we used to hang sandbags on the bar of soap, right? In the same way, you have to place the wooden plank. Then on the wooden plank, you have to keep the bar of soap. Then by using a thin wire and a thick wire separately at two instances, right, you have to hang sandbags to intersect or to bisect, right, intersect or to bisect soap bars. So then after you have to calculate the time taken. Okay, then after you have to calculate the time taken. You can use a stopwatch for that thing, right? You have to calculate the time taken to intersect or to bisect, right? To intersect or to bisect. How much of a time taken to bisect or intersect the, the soap bar. Okay, so it's really simple to conduct this activity, my dear children, right? So let's head on to see what is our method. So once again, place the piece of plank between two tabletops and keep the cake of soap on the plank as shown in the figure. As shown in the figure, you have to keep the cake of soap, right, as in the figure. Send the thick wire round the cake of soap and hang the sandbag of 20 Newton weight. 20 Newton weight means around 2 sandbags, right? Yes. Observe what happens. So you know that when this thing is going to when I'm going to hang the sandbag, you know that definitely the cake of soap would get cut by the wire. However, according to the thickness, right? However, according to the thickness, it may cut or not, right? We don't know. We have to conduct and see the activity, what's going to happen. So what we have to do in the first instance, send the thick wire around the cake of soap, hang the sandbag and observe what happens. Okay. Then after, remove the thick wire and repeat the above step using a thin wire. Observe what happens again. What can be concluded according to the observations? Alright. So what you have to do, take the thick wire, keep it around the cake of soap, hang 20 Newton weight and observe how much of a time is taken to intersect or cut the soap bar. Then remove that soap bar entirely. Take the second soap bar, place it on the same setup, wrap the thin wire, hang the same weight 20 Newton, 2 sandbags, then find out how much of a time taken to intersect or to bisect the soap bar. Now you have to compare the results, the time taken. Then after, you have to